All right. Well, look, guys, we have 17 games to go through here. We are going game
Let's
by
do it.
game down the Dolphins schedule. So we should get started on this, right? We don't want to be here all night. So let's get started. So we're going to start off week one at home against the Jacksonville Jaguars. I'm going to start with you, Steve. What are your thoughts on this game? Do you have a winner or loss for us?
Yeah, offensive firepower from Miami is what I see with this game. That topped with a relatively healthy starting core, Miami should be, I would think, set up for week one. Tua has shown significant improvement in his decision making and accuracy last year. He was at 69% and had 4,600 passing yards. If he's on this game, he can exploit weaknesses in the Jaguars defense. They have Ronald Darby and Tyson Campbell that are going to try to have to limit Tyreek and Jalen. I don't really see that happen. Yeah, don't really see that happening. Their safeties are at best mediocre, with Terrell Edmonds being their veteran presence. So I just kind of think Miami has their way with that defense. I think they create an exciting first game of the season for us Dolphins fans, and we get the win.
Awesome. Josh, what are your thoughts on it?
Yeah, I'm right there with you, Steve. I think it's a dub. I have a score prediction, 31-21. And my takeaways, honestly, I was a little pressed to pick this game at first, because when you look at Doug Peterson's record in game ones, he's 5-2. When you look at Mike McDaniel, he's 2-0. Right? That shows both coaches have an understanding of how to get their teams ready to start the season strong. Right? So that was a little concerning. Right? A little troubling for me. It wasn't as easy of a game as I was hoping for to open the season. But I think Miami has home field advantage, which is huge, as we all know. I also think that both teams having a first-year defensive coordinator will actually help the Dolphins, given what our offense can do. Right. So we're not going up against a seasoned vet who has his scheme in place, who has his players indoctrinated into all of the verbiage. The Jaguars, just like us, they have a first-year defensive coordinator and a defensive scheme and all new defensive coaches. And I really do think that, given what our offense is in year 3 of Mike McDaniel with Tua and Hill and Waddle and A-Chain, I mean, the list goes on and on and on. I think this is going to be a relatively easy win, even though it's only a 10-point victory, in my opinion.
Okay. Now, just so everybody out there knows how this is going to work, majority rules on this. So we have 2 W's from Steve and Josh. That means we're going to mark the Dolphins down for a W here, but I still want to hear what Anthony has to say about this game. So this is a W, but if Anthony has a dissenting opinion, I do want to hear it. If he has the same opinion, I want to hear it.
Yeah, I don't have a dissenting opinion, but I would say that, every game in the NFL is a losable game. So if I'm looking at this from the, okay, how could Miami lose this game perspective, I think it depends which Trevor Lawrence we see. I feel like Trevor Lawrence is very Ryan Tannehill in that you get a superstar or a half a star, right?
I was thinking that's so funny.
You don't know what you're going to get out of this guy. If he comes out, shooting, I think Christian Kirk is an amazingly good receiver. It will be very hard for us to cover, I think. Cater is going to have his hands full. And then, of course, Travis Etienne in that backfield. You can't forget him. So I do think Jacksonville has some weapons on offense that they could try to go toe-to-toe and try to outpace us. Both new defensive coordinators, like Josh mentioned, which means there's going to be lots of mistakes on the defensive side of the ball because they're both learning new schemes. So while I do think we ultimately get the win because we have a very potent offense, I would not be shocked to see this closer than we think.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
A lot of what's been underreported on the Jaguars last year was that they had a collapse, maybe not as calamitous as the Eagles collapse last year, but a pretty big collapse nonetheless.
Mm-hmm.
And that's a large hurdle to get over for a football team, for one's psyche, So yeah, this is going to be a fun game. It's going to be probably a closer game than I think people think. Steve, what were you gonna say?
Yeah, I mean, I just want to say, not for nothing, but I think Jacksonville will have a pretty good season. They're just relatively known to start slow. I mean, the past 2 out of 3 years, I believe they started 0-3. If I'm not wrong, they maybe a win in there, but they've been a 9-8 team through 3 years in a row. So.
Yeah.
I don't really see them improving. Miami knows best. Once you are in that mediocre slot, it's so hard to get out of it. I mean, you eventually have to tank for a year or two, and
Yeah.
Just say tank for Tua? What'd you say?
Yeah, no, but I don't think this is a year that Jacksonville's going to try to tank, but they're going to.
I don't think they can. I think there's too much talent on that team for them to tank.
Yeah.
Yeah,
But I still think they're going to be a mediocre team at the end of the season.
Fair enough. All right. Let's move on to week 2. Dolphins turn around right after their opening game victory against the Jaguars and have to play the Bills on Thursday Night Football in Miami. I'm going to start off with Josh on this one. What do we think? This is a tough one, man. The Bills have swept us a lot.
Yes, they have. But I honestly think so just to set the stage, I have a W here. I have us winning this one. I think home field advantage is kind of what wins out between Bills. Spoiler alert, just so everyone's aware. I think the Bills lost a lot, both to injury and in their wide receiver room and their skill positions. I think they lost a little on their offensive line. I can't remember. It's either to injury or to a free agent, but I can see Josh Allen, taking a step back. I can see both offenses being prolific from a sense where they're scoring points. So I have this kind of in the 27-20 range kind of victory. So kind of if you envision fourth quarter, early fourth quarter, it's tied. Tua makes a drive for a touchdown and our defense steps up, something along those lines. But I think home field advantage plays out.
Okay. Look, this was game. Personally, I had slotted in for an L, just because I think there's something with the Bills that have the Dolphins stymied, and I think it's kind of a mental block at this point.
Yeah.
That being said, I can say it. It's not like the Bills lost that really hot game in Miami really earlier in the season a couple years ago. Sunday Night Football, it's not going to be quite as hot. Thursday Night Football, sorry, it's not going to be quite as hot.
Mm-hmm.
But look, we'll see. Anthony, what do you think, man?
You read my mind. Also, you have my notes, but that's exactly where I was going. The home field advantage is absolutely muffed by the fact that we're on a Thursday night game, which I hate the NFL for doing that because, first of all, we don't play well in prime time. And second of all, we lose our really sunny, really hot home field advantage on the visitor sideline if there's no sun beating down on them.
Yeah.
So that's two things that really have me worried about this game.
Anthony, I think the NFL planned that out too. I don't think that's
part of the script. Is that what you're saying?
Oh,
the logic move. It's a big logic move.
So I think, and it's perfect time for Go Bills podcast to dive in as we break down this Bills thing. I do think that this is absolutely going to be a brutal game as always, because the kryptonite they have against us is Josh Allen.
Yeah.
We can't stop him. It doesn't matter if we prevent him from throwing the ball, he just runs it down our throat. If we stop him from running the ball, he throws it down our throat. Like, we don't have the whole package to stop him. And every year we're like, oh, we got a new defensive coordinator. Maybe we can do it this year.
Yeah, well, I do think that this year, though, we've upgraded our cornerback too in Fuller over X. Not that X is historically good for the Dolphins, but he lost steps over the last 2 years. And our linebacker core from an athletic and speed standpoint, so for coverage, from a coverage ability standpoint, has been vastly upgraded. And I think that's where our team as a whole, performs a little bit better.
Yeah. And ultimately, That's why I have us winning this one, actually. I think that catching the Bills early in the season is exactly what we need to steal a win for the first time in ages, it feels like. They have new weapons at the wide receiver, and we've seen how that can be frustrating for especially all superstar quarterbacks in the past. It took Mahomes damn near a full season last year just to connect with Rashee Rice, right? So,
Yeah.
so they're dealing with, Keon Coleman and Curtis Samuel coming in. And then they have some guys who stuck around, but they're not like huge superstar guys. Of course, they still have Jared Cook and Dalton Kincaid, which are weapons that we can't overlook. But maybe playing the 3-4 and having those 4 linebackers will help us contain that tight end a little bit better.
Yeah.
Having two guys in the middle to cover him, maybe that'll be enough. I think ultimately, though, my whole point is catching them early is the reason we win this game. I think it's a 1-point game at best. Maybe Sanders kicks a game-winning field goal in the closing to give us that one.
Brett, thanks for tuning in, man. Did the Summit show with him last night, and now he's tuning in to watch us tonight. We really appreciate it, truly. So
Yes,
thanks
thank
for tuning
you.
in, man. All right, Steve, we have a W penciled in for this game.
Yeah.
Yep.
I have the W as well. But I think it's going to be the momentum, staying home for 2 straight weeks. If Buffalo was away for the game prior to going to Miami, it would probably be a little easier on us, but unfortunately it's not. And they also have a guy named Sean McDermott. He's a crafty head coach. He's a fantastic head coach, and Josh Allen responds incredibly well to him. They're literally probably going to be what a Belichick Brady is, but hopefully without the Super Bowls. I can see them sticking together and just winning records amounts of games.
I heard Josh Allen was getting traded to the Browns. No, I'm kidding.
The issue, though, is Josh Allen doesn't have Diggs, and I'm certain Josh Allen's going to have to play a different type of football this year than he did last year. Josh Allen's going to have to use his legs again like he did before in his younger seasons. He's going to have to be reckless with the ball a little bit more and hopefully continue to throw some more picks. I do like the picks he throws, and I think this year is going to be another high year of throwing picks because he doesn't have that shiny weapon out there that he can rely on. Maybe down the season he'll get a chemistry going, but I think this game is going to be hard on Josh Allen and his receivers, and I think Miami ultimately pulls it out with a good run game.
Yeah, and don't overlook the fact that they lost the heart and soul of their defense in Matt Milano for we don't know how long yet. I think he's on. I believe he's on IR, but scheduled for return at some point. So he's not lost for the season per se, but he was a Dolphins destroyer.
Yeah.
I'll be honest, guys. I expected at least 1 L from you guys on this one. The fact that you guys all went W. Doesn't make me think this is a win anymore personally, but I do like the confidence.
We're cursing them.
So with 3, they are traveling across the country to the other corner of the country. They are going to be playing the Seattle Seahawks up in Seattle, where the 12th man resides. I'm going to start with you on this one, Anthony. What do you think? What do you think about this one?
This is the closest I came to giving us a loss really early in the season here, because flying across the country to face a Seahawks team that's extremely underrated is an extremely difficult thing to do, right? Nobody's talking about the Seahawks. I mean, this team is stacked at every position except maybe quarterback, right? And Geno Smith has shown that he can at least make it be good enough to win games. So I think the key for us to win this one is to stop him. Turn him into the Geno Smith that played for the Jets. Like, we faced him back then, and we dominated him then. Every Dolphins fan remembers the game where Rex Ryan wouldn't let Geno throw. 3 pass attempts that game. So if we can force them to throw.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, that was a good pull.
Yeah, that was good. I forgot about that.
If we can force them to throw, and put the ball in Geno's hands. Now, their receiving core is great, but like Josh said, our secondary's gotten better. I like our chances better than trying to stop Kenneth Walker Jr., who is
He's a
also
stud.
very underrated, just like his team. This is a very good running back who could destroy us, especially given the fact that we've lost Wilkins, right? And we don't know what our defense is going to look like at this point. So I still think it's a win, but again, this is a tough schedule. It's a tougher schedule when you start talking about it than it looks like on paper.
Yeah, it is. This is going to be a tough game, guys. So, Anthony, you're penciling this in for a W on this one.
Yeah, sorry, I buried the lead there. Yeah, I have us winning.
All right. Steve, I want to go to you next. What do you think about this one?
Man, Miami's not great on the road. Last year they were 4-4. 2022 they were 3-6. The McDaniel era hasn't proven to be successful on the road yet. And I'm not bashing Mike McDaniel. I'm just saying we need to figure something out. I would love to see Miami prove them numbers in 2024, but this isn't their sexiest game or road schedule to begin with. Seattle's got solid, fast young corner in Tyreek Woolen. They got another stud on the outside in Devin Witherspoon, and I think them two can help disrupt our receivers, our offense, and ultimately slow down Tua. Geno Smith should have another good year. I think, he is a mid quarterback, but he's got a healthy Kenneth Walker and a trio of receivers who ultimately can take over a game at any point in time. DK, Jax, Tyler. I don't think we have enough corners to hold them down. Jalen Ramsey can change a game at any time, but I don't really have a whole lot of faith in Fuller or Kohu one-on-one with any of them three. So I don't know who Jalen's going to have to cover, but whoever it is, I don't think the ball's going to get thrown there anyway. And I see Seattle coming home with a win with the 12th man.
All right. So we have our first gridlock. Before I go to you, Josh, I'm going to go to the comments. Josh gets to break the tie here.
Yeah, I love it.
So, Mike, thanks for tuning in. We really appreciate it.
Mike,
Sean, thank you for tuning in. These are all guys from Nickel City Mafia coming in and supporting us. So we really appreciate it, guys.
Thanks
so
fellas.
much. And hey, Sean, you got a nice compliment there, Josh.
Heck yeah.
That is a cool background.
Thanks.
I agree. He's got a green screen back there, actually, and he's able to put these backgrounds on there.
No, I don't. This is my real wall.
As his hand disappears.
It looks great, though, man. It really does.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
All right, so, Josh, break this tie, man.
I have us at a tie. No, I'm kidding. So I won't bear the lead. I have this actually as a W. And I'm actually going to read what I wrote for this because I don't want to miss anything. So the Seahawks can field a very solid offense week in and week out, but the success or failure will come down to the offensive line, which I think they are very weak at. I believe they're in bottom 3 offensive line coming into the year, which will help Miami going into Seattle and get the dub. I think that Seattle's strengths on offense, to Steven's point, is at the wide receiver position. I am very high on Fuller joining this team. So I think that Ramsey, Fuller, coupled with Poyer and Holland at the safety positions will be able to limit the deep ball production, which will allow the speed that we have at linebacker to excel in the intermediate kind of passing game that they have with the run game as well. On the flip side, Trey Brown, Reek Woolen, Witherspoon, and Love won't be able to do much to slow down Tyreek and Waddle, A-Chain, and I see a sighting for Jalen Wright for the first time of the season in this game. I also can see, and I'm doing a little crystal ball here, A-Chain having over 100 yards and 40-plus receiving.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys have us starting out 3-0 here. Three dubs right away.
3-0.
Josh broke the tie, so we have 3-0.
So if I'm understanding this, how the universe works, it's 3 L's, right?
Yeah.
Don't do that,
dude. I hope not, man. This is going to be a very melancholy show if that's the case.
Yeah,
they start off 0-3.
We're going to be so mad.
Yeah.
It's going to be a dark day.
a 20-minute show.
Yeah.
All right, guys. We're the Dolphins. See you later.
Anthony, do you have something you wanted to add to what Josh said?
Yeah, second show in a row, actually. Steve, you've made some disparaging remarks about Kader Kohu. So I'd like to kind of hear more about your, dare I say, hatred towards
I don't have a
Darth Vader.
hatred. I don't have a hatred. I remember more plays of him getting burnt than I don't. I have a vivid memory of seeing the back of his name chasing the back of somebody else's name, you know,
Yeah.
like I just see it on TV way more than I'm comfortable with. Whereas, you know, X at the end of his last season, I was starting to see that. But I mean, from the start, that's all I've seen from Kohu. I've seen a few good plays, but I think they're few far in between. Maybe the plays that he's not getting exploited on, he's doing some good defensive work, but quarterbacks love throwing to him.
I feel like his rookie year was really good. And then in
Yeah,
true
it
Dolphins fashion, they're like,
Injured.
yo, this guy played really well in his rookie season. Let's change his position, right?
Yeah.
Like,
But he's also coming. This is year 2 back from a severe injury.
He was balling out before his injury.
Yeah.
I do remember.
Mike asks, is Poyer starting? Yeah, he's going to be a starter for as long as he can play. I mean,
for how long? Yeah.
He is 33 years old. He's not the player he once was. He's not the player he was with Buffalo, but I think he's still a decent starting safety in this league. And I think he's going to start. I think he's going to split time with guys like Marcus May, guys like Elijah Campbell, maybe even Patrick McMorris if he starts to develop a little bit more. But for now, Poyer is most definitely the starter. He's more like a player coach out there, honestly. He's going to be coaching this young secondary.
If May plays like he did in the preseason, I mean, he's gonna be pushing for that spot sooner than later.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we're gonna move on to week 4, guys. Tell me if you've heard this one before. Monday night against the Titans. I know we all have nightmares. We all have nightmares about that game last year. I still do. I wake up with night sweats over it all the time.
Changed our whole playoff outlook.
It did. It really did. We would have won the division if we would have won that game last year. So we're going into this game, week 4 against the Titans. We're 3-0. We're flying high, and I think we got a little bit of revenge on our minds. What do you think about that, Steve?
You know, I am so happy that we are doing it again on Monday Night Football primetime TV. If there isn't, like, Roger didn't help us out with putting the Jets at the very last game, but he also kind of gave us a bone here and is like, hey, here's some redemption. And I think Miami's going to take all the redemption. We could W here. I don't see any way around it. You know, Titans still have a tough football team, but you know, Will Levis is a gamer, but Tony Pollard isn't Derrick Henry, and they're going to have to change up their way of playing. Will Levis, I don't think is that guy yet. So Zach Sealer, Jalen Phillips, I think are going to have their way with him, and they're going to allow Jalen Ramsey and Devon Holland to find a few turnovers with an S. I think multiple turnovers this game.
I love it, Steve. This is one we want. This one bad. I know we do.
Oh yes, we
want
do.
This one real bad. Josh, talk to me about it, man.
Yeah. So as you fellas know, I feel very strongly about this game. And you know, spoiler alert to our listeners. There was a glitch in our chat group, and I posted my thoughts on this game about 437 times. But I mean, I honestly think that this is going to be a Denver-esque type game. I see the score being like 56-24, Tua having 450 and 4 tuds. Running game busts out with three touchdowns, and Ramsey gets a pick 6 or something like that. Like, that's the kind of game script that I think we are going to put our boot on their throat and seriously dominate them from start to finish.
I love it. I absolutely love it. Now we haven't penciled in for a W here, but Anthony, I want to hear your thoughts on this one as well.
I'm curious to see what they look like. Brand new coaching staff, Bill Callahan coming over from Cincinnati, right? So I want this revenge game as much as anybody. I tend to agree with Josh. I think it's going to be Denver-esque. As a avid listener of the Rich Eisen show, I can tell you that everybody who plays the win-loss game chooses their team to beat the Titans, so they have no respect this year from anybody. But you know what? Like, I look at this team and I don't really see that much talent. And the people talking them up are talking about the receiving core, which I just see Calvin Ridley, who we have no idea what he is anymore because
he's a walking injury.
Yeah, that experiment was crazy in Jacksonville. DeAndre Hopkins, does he still play? Is he here still?
He's there.
He's
He's
around.
like year 13 or something. He's there.
So, and then Tony Pollard, and I'm more scared of Tyjae Spears, honestly. If Spears is taking over more of the snap count by week 4, I'd be a little more frightened than I am of Pollard. But he's also should be healthy. So, do I think this is going to be a shutout? No, because our defense isn't that good. But yeah. I do think that we probably double their score, and like Josh said, they probably score 28 points or something like that, and then we just double that up. Because our offense wants this one.
Oh, yes.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it.
Yeah.
We win the division if we win that game last year.
And it's home. And it's a home game.
Yeah. Yeah. So this has all the makings of a blowout in my mind. I'm hoping, man. I just want us to put our foot on their throats and not let up.